Are you ready to take your message, your business, and your life to the next level?
Want to learn from someone with more than a decade of experience, training tens of thousands of people from all around the world?
Hi, Cliff. This is Pauline from Auckland, New Zealand.
John from Calgary, Alberta.
Amy Porterfield.
Michael Hyatt.
Dan here from Dunedin, New Zealand.
Ray Edwards.
Mark Mason. Mike Stelzner.
Pat from Smart Passive Income.
It's Darren from Melbourne, Australia.
Now is the time to live the life of your dreams and do the work you feel most called to do in the world.
Welcome to the Cliff Ravenscraft Show.
Here's your host, Cliff Ravenscraft.
That's right, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. So excited to be back in the Next Level studio, even though it's not for long. Oh my gosh, I have a question for you. Are you willing to feel great and have your life go well all of the time? Let me ask that again. Are you willing to feel great and have your life go well all of the time? This is a question that was asked in the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And I'll never forget the way that I processed that question in my own mind. And I had to ask myself, am I willing to have my life go well and feel great all the time? I think I just reversed it there, but that's okay. I think you still get the point. And what was amazing is I felt some resistance to this question. I felt, no, I mean, that's just not possible. That's unrealistic. That's setting yourself up for failure. It's just not even within the realm of possibility. And so there was this internal conflict when processing this question of whether or not I'm willing for my life to go well all of the time, to feel great all of the time. I just internally, and then I began to ask myself, well, wait a second. First of all, the question isn't, do you believe that your life is great and that it will go well all of the time? That's not the question. The question is first and foremost, are you willing? And then immediately I'm like, well, wow, I still feel a little hesitation in saying yes. It's like, why would I have any hesitation to say that I am willing to feel great all of the time? And then I got down into some deep hidden beliefs inside of me that I'm not worthy of feeling good all of the time. And there's these beliefs that, man, if you feel great all of the time, then you'll never know what it's like to feel great unless you felt lots of pain. There are those sayings that people have said, unless you've experienced significant pain and loss, you'll never be able to fully understand and appreciate you've heard these things before. You know what I'm talking about, right? And sometimes we can say, well, I need pain. I need suffering. I need heartache so that I can experience the positive emotions of life. And maybe that's true. But haven't you and I already experienced enough of all of that to carry us a lifetime? I don't know about you, but I feel like I have. And so I think I have enough of that stored in the memory banks. Some of it probably could be forgotten, and I think I'd still get by. And so I began to ask myself, am I willing to feel great and have my life go well all of the time? And I began to say yes, with only a minor bit of resistance. And then as I consistently worked day after day on that phrase alone, within the weeks after being exposed to it in this book by Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap, I began to be able to say it without any resistance. And not only that, I entered that phrase into my daily affirmation file, because I only enter phrases into my daily affirmation file if I feel a level of certainty about the truth of that statement. And once I was able to say with certainty that I believe, I fully internally accept that I am willing to feel great and have my life go well all of the time. I am willing. And so as soon as I felt certain that that was true without any resistance, that made it onto my affirmation file. Now, I will tell you, it took probably more than a year before I began to modify that statement a little bit. And here's how I've modified it. See, it's much easier once you focus on that word, am I willing? Right? Am I willing to feel great and have my life go well all of the time? And then what if I modify it though to I am committed. I am committed to feeling great and have my life go well all of the time. Wow. Now there was a little resistance. Okay, there was a lot of resistance to that statement. But what I want to tell you is that after working out inside of my heart, my mind, several beliefs that I had, I began to experience less and less and less resistance to the statement that I am committed to feeling great and having my life go well all of the time. I am committed to this. By the way, I want you to understand that even though I say that I'm committed to feeling great, I'm committed to doing what's necessary for my life to go well all of the time, even though it says that I'm committed to it, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything goes according to plan. Not everything goes according to the expectation. So I got rid of the resistance by saying that, listen, I'm not saying that my life is going to be perfect from this day forward. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm committed to doing what's necessary for me to feel great. And I'm committed to doing whatever within my power, whatever I can do. I am willing, I'm committed to doing what I can to have my life go well all of the time. I'm willing all of the time, and I'm committed all of the time. All right? So once I worked through some internal dialogue, I was able to associate this other certainty about this other statement. This, I am committed to feeling great and having my life go well all of the time. This is something that I shared just recently at the Free the Dream 2019 conference. This was something that was new that I brought to Free the Dream 2019 that I did not share originally in Free the Dream 2018. I do remember bringing up the statement, I am willing to feel good and have my life go well all of the time. I shared that statement at Free the Dream 2018. But at Free the Dream 2019, I shared both versions of the statement. And then I proceeded at Free the Dream 2019 to explain how this works. Now, what I'm going to share with you are 3 vital decisions that I learned about from Tony Robbins that we are making every moment of the day. Whether you're consciously aware of this or not, you are making these 3 decisions. They're vital, by the way. They determine what outcomes you get in life, how you feel, what actions you take, and what results you're getting in life. All right? They're extremely vital to getting what you want out of life or to avoiding the things you don't want in life. And you're making these 3 decisions every moment of every day. Here are the 3 decisions. Number 1, what are you focused on? All right, what is it that you're focused on? Decision number 2 is what meaning are you associating to what you're focused on? What does that, whatever it is that you're focused on, that situation, that scenario, that circumstance, that thing that just happened, that's what you're focused on. What does it mean? All right. And the third decision, once you've determined that, is what actions am I going to take as a result of what I'm focused on and what I've chosen to assign meanings to. All right. So I want to share with you some examples of this for this week's episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. Now, if you listened to the previous episode, you know that I did an episode titled, well, you know what? I'm going to go look it up. I'm going to have to pull this up here at cliffravenscraft.com and click on podcast tab on my website. And it was episode 619, and it was titled Absolute Peace in the Midst of Extreme Travel. Absolute peace in the midst of extreme travel. And during that particular episode, I talked about the fact that I think I was, I had traveled for 12 days from July 25th through August 5th. That's where I went down to Franklin, Tennessee for Ray Edwards Copywriting Academy Live. Stayed there a couple extra days because why drive all the way home when I was just going to drive down to Montgomery, Alabama the next weekend. So I was gone all the way for Ray's Copywriting Academy Live event, and then Giovanna Ellison's Thrive Summit, and then I stopped in for a day or two with my parents in the Smoky Mountains, but they were down at the lake house, and then I came home. And I was home for a month, 4 weeks, and then I left again for another 12 days. I left for a weekend speaking gig at the Tribe Conference for Jeff Goins, and then I also stayed down there because I had an opportunity to speak midweek at the Nashville Podcaster Meetup, and I'm like, hey, Free the Dreams the next few days, so why not just go ahead and stay down there all through Free the Dream 2019 conference? So I was gone for those days, and then here's the interesting thing. I had just been gone for 24 days, and then I recorded episode 619 in light of the fact that I was just getting ready to turn around within 5 days. I came home from those 24 days of being away, and I was going to be home for 1 week, and then I immediately was leaving for 11 more days, going out to Colorado to invest in bonding with my 18-year-old son, Matthew, for 11 days in Colorado, understanding and appreciating his love and passion for esports, and really just connecting with him on a level that, unfortunately, it came to my recognition during that trip that I realized we hadn't had a great bonding experience since we had what we call Movie Day 2014. So it had been almost 5 years since I've bonded with my son at a level like this. And so that was 11 more days that I was going to be away. And during that, in between all of that travel, I did a podcast episode titled Absolute Peace in the Midst of Extreme Travel. Well, guess what? Here's the interesting thing. I have since returned from those 11 days, and I think we're now at 30. Hold on, I've got it right here. I wrote it down here. 35. Now I'm 35 days out of town, and at the moment when I shared episode 619, and I said I have absolute peace in the midst of extreme travel, I had not gone on that 11-day trip, that additional 11-day trip. And not only that, I had not tacked on an additional 7-day trip after the 11-day trip with only 1 week in between those two trips. Let me explain. So I just got back from the trip to Colorado. It was incredible. It was absolutely everything I intended it to be as far as my bonding experience with my son. It went way better than I could have ever possibly imagined. And so many other things happened beyond my expectations that went incredibly well. But as I was leaving, getting ready to leave for that trip to Colorado, I had a message from someone that said, "Hey, Cliff, I saw your experience and some of the photos, and I've read some of the comments that people have made about your Free the Dream conference, and it looks absolutely incredible. I'm excited about the transformation that I'm reading about in the lives of the people that you have reached through that conference, and I would like to invite you to come out to San Diego for my event, or I would love to invite you to come out to my event." And that event happened to be 1 week after, it starts a week after I get back from Colorado. And this is an event that I was already anticipating going to anyway. In fact, I'll just tell you that it's a Rich Litvin event, co-author of the book, The Prosperous Coach. And I had already been thinking about the idea of participating in either one or both of Rich Litvin's upcoming events. One of them is an event in October, and one of them is an event in December. One of them is in Los Angeles, and one of them is in San Diego. Now, it's important that I share with you the location of those because I think that may end up making it into this podcast episode as well. So, anyway, I was already contemplating. It wasn't a heck yes to both of those events, or either of those events individually. It wasn't a heck yes, because I had already known that I was going to be 35 days worth of travel within a 2.5 month period of time. And so to tack on another 2 weeks, or 1 week or 2 weeks, it'd be a week for each of those events to go out to the West Coast for me. I just didn't know that I wanted to pull that off. I didn't know whether or not this is something that I should commit to. And there are so many reasons for that. It's like, yes, I've had so much peace in the midst of all this extreme travel, but is there a limit to how much peace I'm able to experience in the midst of all this travel? You know what I'm saying? I think you do. And so anyway, I thought about it for just a moment, and I'm like, okay, yes, I definitely want to go out to this Rich Litvin coaching intensive. This is a world that I have chosen to dive headfirst into. How could I say no to this experience when it's clearly the next avenue that God has in my future? I mean, that my life has radically been transformed since I read the book, The Prosperous Coach. Since I've put the Prosperous Coach method into practice, it has revolutionized everything about helping me achieve a life where I live a majority of my time inside of my zone of genius, and helping me to eliminate so many things out of my business pursuits that were not inside of my zone of genius. So I said yes, and I made that decision, and I figured, okay, I'll book the travel and everything for this October event for Rich Litvin once I get to Colorado and the dust settles. Once there's lots of things that I have to arrange in my schedule, but it all kind of depends on figuring out the esports event schedule that's going on for my son Matthew in this Dota 2 tournament that is the primary focus of why I'm going to Colorado in the first place. I want to make sure that Matthew absolutely during the entire 11 days gets priority on my time, effort, energy, attention, and not just in a passive way, but in a very aggressively active way. I wanted to be involved in my son's world in Colorado. And so I'm like, when we get to Colorado, I'll do all of this. Now, with that being said, however, by committing to going to Colorado, coming home from Colorado after those 11 days, now being gone for 35 days, I'm then going to come home from Colorado. I'm going to be home for 1 week, actually about 5 or 6 days. And then I'm going to turn around and leave for another 7 days, which means I will have been out of town for 42 days within a 3-month window. 42 days out of town within a 3-month period of time. And then I have to ask myself, am I willing to allow myself to feel great about this? And am I willing to allow my life to go well through all of this? Am I willing to allow myself to feel great, to feel awesome, knowing that I'm going to be out of town for 42 days within 3 months? I'm full-time self-employed. I've got commitments. I've got stuff to do. And you know what? There's the temptation to not feel great about being out of town for 42 days. It was okay after coming back and being gone for 24 days. And then knowing that, the next 11 days is going to be a downtime. There's going to be some things that I need to accomplish while I'm in Colorado work-wise, but man, what a blessing it is. And after I get back with my son from Colorado, I'm going to get back into some routines, and I'm just going to go crazy with all of the new fresh insight and excitement and everything. And yes, I'm totally at peace in the midst of all of that extreme travel. But man, what about 7 more days? What about 7 more days away? Am I still committed to feeling great? And I got to tell you, while I was in Colorado, I was tempted to not feel great. I was tempted to not be committed to having my life go well. I was almost tempted to feel terrible. I was I was absolutely tempted to feel terrible. I was absolutely tempted to feel horrible. I was absolutely tempted to do things, to take actions to make my life go miserably. I was tempted to consciously do things, say things, and behave in a way to make my life miserable because I felt as though I deserved my life to go miserably and to feel miserable. How is that possible? Okay. It goes back to those 3 vital decisions. What are you focused on? What meanings do you associate to what you're focused on? And how do those meanings make you feel? Now, before I go further and I help you by sharing my evaluations of being out of town for 42 days within a 3-month period of time, how I'm still experiencing peace, how I'm avoiding the temptation of feeling bad, and how I am avoiding the temptation of taking actions that, quite frankly, would consciously sabotage my life, my relationships, my business. See, what do I mean by that? Well, you know what? Let me get to that in just a moment. Before I do, I want to say there's something else that's very important that I teach at Free the Dream, and that is the TIER formula. That is our thoughts plus our emotions, or the way we feel, what we think and what we feel are going to lead to the decisions that we make, or the actions that we will take. So our thoughts and all of the behaviors that we do, the actions that we take those actions because of how we think and feel in any moment in time. So what I'm thinking and how I'm feeling right now is determining what action I'm taking. I'm recording this. The action that I'm taking right now is I'm recording this podcast episode. I'm recording this podcast episode because of what I was thinking and how I was feeling this morning when I woke up, right before I walked into this office. In fact, the action that I took prior to hitting the record button on this episode, was outlining this particular podcast episode for over an hour. I created an outline for over an hour, which was an action that I took before hitting the record button. And I did that because of what I thought and I was feeling at the time. I was thinking, hey, I don't want to just put out a podcast episode that says, hey, I'm traveling again and woe is me and I feel bad for me and I just wanted to make sure that you heard my voice and I just wanted to show up for you today and here's another episode and this is why I've been gone. And I'm getting ready to go out of town again. And maybe when I get back, I'm going to finally sit down and have a normal episode of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show that I'm going to feel good about. That would have been that could have been one action, hitting record on that podcast episode. Would you still be listening? Some of you would. Some of you know you wouldn't. All right. But here you are listening to this right now because I took the action of preparing for over an hour prior to hitting the record button. And it's because of what I thought and I felt. So I what was I focused on? I was focused on the fact that, man, I haven't put out a podcast episode. What does that mean? Well, I want to show up for my community and I want to put out an episode that's valuable. And I don't just want to record something for the sake of consistency. I just want to put something out that's valuable, that people will say, man, I'm glad Cliff showed up in that way because, wow, that helps me reevaluate some of the things that are going on in my life. And you know what? I have been feeling terrible and I have been intentionally sabotaging my life, taking actions that I know are making my life go extremely bad. All right. I am responsible for how terrible I feel and how terrible my life, the terrible direction that my life is heading right now. Wow, I understand because Cliff did this. All right. So that's why I was thinking and feeling that way, which led me to prepare this podcast episode, which now led me to the decision to record this podcast episode. So let me share with you now. By the way, what you think and feel leads to the actions that you take in life, and whatever actions you take in life are going to lead you to the results that you get. So that's the main core message of Free the Dream. Your thoughts and emotions lead to your actions, and whatever actions you take, they're responsible for the results you get in life. All right? And of course, it's very important to understand that your thoughts and emotions, what you think and what you feel, are determined by what you believe. Okay. Now, with all of that out of the way, now I'm going to talk about these 3 vital decisions. And what am I focused on? That's the first decision, right? What have I been focused on a lot over the past 3 months? Actually, what have I been focused on a lot since I left for Colorado? I will have been out of town for 42 days within a 3-month window of time. That's what I've been focused on ever since I made the decision that I was going to come home for about 5 or 6 days and then leave for another 7 days. I have been focused on, not consistently, but a very large amount of time. There have been many times throughout the last, 2 weeks that I've been focused on the fact that I'm going to be out of town for a total of 42 days away from my home office within a 3-month window of time. So that's decision number 1. I've been focused on that. All right. Now, here's what I want to tell you. What you focus on will determine what you feel. Where focus goes, energy flows, and your emotions are energy, okay? And I want you to understand that your negative or positive energy is going to follow what you're focused on. So if you want to change how you feel, change what you focus on. Now, the thing is that sometimes it's very challenging to change your focus on something that just keeps staring you in the face. You're going to be out of town, Cliff, for 42 days within a 3-month period of time. What are you thinking? Why did you make these decisions? All right. Well, I'm going to share with you how if I was not committed to feeling great and having my life go well all of the time, here are some meetings that I might choose to associate to the focus of the fact that I'm going to be out of town for 40 days within a 3-month window of time. Meaning number 1, I, Cliff Ravenscraft, thrive on routine, and I am far more productive when I have my full computer set up from my home office. By the way, what does that mean? That means when I'm out away, that's 42 days that I am going to be out of my routine, and I'm not going to be thriving. I thrive when I am in a routine. I thrive when I know what to expect when I wake up. I thrive when I know what I'm going to do next. I thrive when I just go through my day, just kind of cruising through on the things that I enjoy and the things that I like, and I crave on some certainty and some predictable outcomes. I thrive on those things, and man, what this means is that's 42 days of not thriving. I'm going to be 42 days without my routines that I love. I'm not going to be as productive. I'm not going to have my 3-monitor setup. I'm not going to have my 27-inch iMac with my external keyboard, my external mouse. I'm not going to have my external, what do I have? I think I just bought a 65-inch 4K television over here from LG off to the side that allows me to put 6 Finder windows, dragging and dropping files with all my external drives multiply attached. And oh my gosh, I won't have access to all of this stuff, and the things that might take me 15 minutes to do on my home computer sitting here at my desk. What takes me 15 minutes here is going to take me about an hour to do on my single little tiny laptop screen in a hotel room, and swiping back and forth on that little trackpad. And oh man, I'm just not going to be as productive. I'm not going to be thriving. Life's not going to be predictable. My routine is going to be out of whack. My sleep schedule. Okay, so that's one meaning. Here's another meaning. Because I'm out of my normal routines, there's a number of things that I typically get done that are simply not going to be accomplished. 42 days worth of stuff. 42 days worth of stuff. There's just 42 days worth of stuff that are simply not going to get accomplished. 42 days worth of things that I would have naturally done on a daily basis for 42 days. I would have naturally done them every day without fail, never missing those things that I always do every single day. There's just 42 days worth of things that, because I'm out of town, because I'm preoccupied on all of these relationships that I'm building, all the conversations I'm having with people, all of the interactions, all of the speaking, all of the just normal routine traveling from here to there, dinners and conversations and all this other stuff. There's just 42 days worth of daily routine activity, things that would have normally happened. 42 days of stuff are simply they're going to cease to happen. 42 days of those things. And maybe I feel like they're so important that when I get back from these 42 days worth of travel, it's going to take me forever. It's going to take me forever to get caught up. Man, seriously. All right, here's another meaning. Because I'm not accomplishing all of those things that I could be and I typically do accomplish, those things are what made me feel so worthy of all the success that I have. They're the things that doing all of that activity made me feel worthy of the abundance that's in my life. It's made me feel worthy of all the love that I receive and the affection and the compliments that I get from everyone from all of those actions that I take. And because I'm not going to be accomplishing all of those things, I feel less worthy of the success that I have in life. I feel less worthy of the abundance that's in my life. I feel less worthy of people's love, attention, and affection. That's a meaning that I can associate to this. And when I'm finished with all of this travel, it's just going to take forever to get caught up. And here's what I want you to hear. What have I chosen to focus on here? I've chosen to focus on the fact that I'm away for 42 days within a 3-month window of time. That's what I'm focused on. What meanings have I associated? All of those things that I just told you. Now, how do those meanings related to what I've chosen to focus on in the moment, how do they make me feel? Overwhelmed, exhausted, stressed, impatient, jittery, nervous, fearful, shame. I got to tell you, I was tempted to feel shame about not producing a podcast episode sooner than this. It's like, Cliff, how many times have you talked about the importance of consistency and showing up for your community? But you can't. And by the way, you and if you're going to do it, not only that, but last week's episode, do you feel that was really the level of the kind of episode that you still should put out? Man, I'm tempted to feel shame for not showing up, for not putting out those podcast episodes consistently and preparing for them at the level for which I want to. I feel unproductive and I feel unworthy. See, my friends, the thing is it's an indisputable fact that there are 42 days within a 3-month window of time where I will be away from my home office, away from my typical normal routines, away from all of the things that I typically do on a consistent basis. There's the fact is that, yeah, these are all the things that I can focus on the fact that I'm going to be here, and I'm choosing to focus on it. It's a reality. I'm willing to see life for what it truly is. My life for these 3 months, I'm going to be gone for 42 days. Though that is an indisputable fact. What is disputable is what it means. Now, I could associate all of the things that those things mean, and I could come away with all of those negative emotions of feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, stressed, impatient, nervousness, fearful, shame, unproductive, and unworthy. I could choose to be feeling all of those things right now. But you want to hear something? I am focused on the fact that I'm away for 42 days within a 3-month period of time. But guess what? I feel great. I really do. I feel great right now, and my life is going well. My life is going amazing. Why? Because you know what? I'm still focused on that, but I've chosen to assign or associate different meanings to those 42 days away. Let me share with you what I'm intentionally, because I am I'm not just willing to have my life willy-nilly just randomly come to me, and I'm willing to feel great if those feelings just come to me naturally. I'm willing to have my life go well if my circumstances in life just naturally fall into such a unique pattern that it just naturally goes well. I'm willing to have that happen. No, guys, I'm not just willing to feel great. I'm not just willing to have my life go well all of the time. I'm committed to feeling great today. I'm committed to feeling great. I'm committed to making my life go well. I'm committed to feeling awesome. And here's how I'm doing it. I'm still focused on the fact that I'm 42 days away within a 3-month window at a time. But let me tell you what meanings I associate to the 42 days away. Number one, I have had some of the most incredible experiences during these 42 days, or at least during these 35 days that I've been away so far. I still got 7 more days of awesomeness ahead of me. All right. Some of the 42 days, I've had the honor of speaking at 5 events, 5 different events, reaching over 1,000 people who have never heard my name before. Over 1,000 people who have never heard my name, never heard my message, have been exposed to my message for the very first time. I've had the opportunity to spend 11 days fully devoted to bonding with my son in Colorado in a way that he and I will never forget the time that we spent. There are so many incredible, memorable experiences. Not only did I learn how to play Dota 2 while I was there and played several hours of that game with him and a couple of his friends, I watched him filled with joy and excitement. I had the opportunity to take him up to the Colorado mountains. We went 11,100 feet above sea level to Breckenridge, Colorado, walked through the historic town of Breckenridge, went up into the mountains of Breckenridge, had just the most incredible time downtown. Colorado will forever be able to tell the entire world that for 11 days we ate Chipotle every day for 11 days while we were in Colorado together. And we had even went downtown Denver, and we even ate at the original first ever Chipotle location. Yes, we love Chipotle that much. I got to introduce him to a couple of my clients and friends while I was in Colorado. I mean, oh man, the things that my son and I got to experience, the people that I got to meet at all these different conferences that I went to, it's just amazing. And here's the other thing, get this. I have the type of business that is truly location independent, where I have the freedom and flexibility to travel with whom I want, when I want, wherever I want. I had the financial ability to travel to all of these places. Here's a little secret for you. I didn't get paid to speak at any of those events. And by the way, guess what? I thought that Free the Dream was the first year we were profitable, Free the Dream 2019. It turns out with 113 people there and a couple of extra little expenses added on here and there, I haven't had the opportunity yet to sit down and do the full P&L, but it looks like we just barely broke even. Literally barely broke even on this year's event when it comes to the cost of that event and all of the line items and how much ticket sales we saw, which means that I didn't even get paid to speak at my own event. So guess what? I had the financial ability to do all of this on my own dime. I have the amazing technology, such as my 2015 15-inch MacBook Pro that I have. I have an amazing iPad Pro, the original large, 12.9-inch iPad Pro. I don't have the newer one. I'm waiting for that. I'm hoping to hear maybe later this month they might come out with the newer iPad Pro, and they'll have some upgrader features. But anyway, I still have an iPad Pro that works great, and it helped me to have a second screen that I could pull up my email on and look back and forth between that. You know what? I'm thankful for iOS 13 that came out and I downloaded while I was on the road, which now has a desktop class browser of Safari, which allowed me to open up my Gmail in a desktop version versus a mobile version. And that allowed me to be far more productive than this. I'm excited about the fact that I have technology that is going to allow me in the future, when I get Catalina installed, that I'll be able to use my iPad Pro as a second monitor without some kind of third-party wonky app that breaks down sometimes. But I'm blessed with technology such as my laptop, my iPad Pro, and I have the new iPhone 11 Pro Max. I took amazing photos while we were there, and it just amazing stuff that I was able to do with that, just allow me to run my business. I can run my business anywhere in the world And it's much easier because of the amazing technology of a laptop, an iPad Pro, and an iPhone. And I could pretty much do anything and everything I truly want to do in my business and that I need to do in my business from anywhere with an internet connection. All right, so here's another meaning. There are even more tech resources available to me in the future if I ever find myself entering into another busy travel schedule. For example, I may even pack up my keyboard and mouse. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up my list of things that I'm going to do. And for setting up, I still have to pack tonight because I'm leaving tomorrow. And so where is that? Pack for a trip. And I'm going to put pack, keyboard, and mouse. I'm taking my keyboard and my mouse with me this time, by golly. If you only knew how much more productive I am with a keyboard and mouse than I am my trackboard and the laptop thing. And it's like, yeah, why haven't I been taking this? So anyway, the next 7 days are going to be so much awesome. And future travel, the thing is I know I'm going to wait to see how Catalina and the iPad Pro work as far as their functionality as that second monitor without third-party software. And if not, you know what? I was looking, there's so many different options for a slim, super, ultra portable, I could do a 15-inch external monitor that's no thicker than my iPad Pro. And all of my iPad Pro, my iPad Pro, my laptop, and this 15-inch portable wireless, or actually not wireless, but HDMI secondary monitor that I could have that. There's so much tech available to me, and I have the financial resources to invest in those things. It's like, this is no big deal. And it just got me thinking about the fact that of other technology tools that can make me more efficient and even more location independent, less dependent on this location of home. All right, here's another meaning that I can associate to this. Get this. These 42 days out of my normal routine have helped me realize just how many things I had devoted my time, effort, and energy to on a daily basis that are not essential to who I am and what I'm most called to do in this world. Guys, there are so many things that I've discovered that I haven't done. Like I said, those 42 days, I would have done these activities. Like, there are 7 or 8 things that I would have done every day for these 42 days that I have simply not done at all. I've completely eliminated them for 42 days. And guess what? I realized how unessential they are to who I am and what I'm most called to do in this world. Really has had zero impact on my life and in my impact and influence in the world in the way that I'm called to impact and influence in the world. I'm not saying they were meaningless because they had meaning. There were reasons why I did them, but they're not essential. And when I do get home from this potentially final trip next week, when I do finally get home, I will establish new routines based upon what I've learned and experienced during these 3 months. My life moving forward, my new routine after I get back is going to be more efficient, more productive. I'm going to have more margin in my life because I'm going to eliminate a ton of things. I'm going to refuse to put back in things into my life that were there before. Here's the other thing, more meanings to associate to these 42 days away. I have established or grown more than 100, well over 100 truly authentic, deep relationships from my travel over the past 35 days away. And again, I have no idea what's in store for me over the next 7 days. All right? I have hosted my second annual Free the Dream conference as a result of this time away, where 113 people from my community came from 5 different countries. Yes, that includes Canada and the United States. But come on, seriously, 113 people from my community, from Stephanie and I's community, came to Free the Dream 2019. Wow, and what an incredible experience for 2.5 days for all 113. And not only that, but about 35 of them came for an entire extra day for our mastermind day, where members of the Next Level mastermind groups and Stephanie's Free to Thrive mastermind groups came together. What an incredible experience. And then I can get this. Here's a meaning to associate for you. I can already attribute more than $100,000 in income from 35 of these 42 days spent out of town. All sorts of amazing opportunities for additional income are deeply embedded within the next 7 days out of town. I could potentially walk away with another $100 to $200, maybe even up to $500,000 worth of income that will be generated over the next 12 months as a result of what will happen in the next 7 days spent out of town. And in spite of being out of my daily routine for the longest time in my self-employed history, the recurring revenue for my business is currently at an all-time high, and all signs seem to be pointing to an evident, significant increase in the months ahead. Now, how's that for associating some meetings to the idea that I'm going to be out of town for 42 days within a 3-month window of time? How do these meetings make me feel? Peace, patient, productive, confident, hopeful, absolutely worthy of all of it, absolutely worthy of the success I have in my life, absolutely worthy of the abundance that I'm experiencing in my life, absolutely worthy of all the love and affection and encouragement that comes from this amazing community that I have. I feel hope. I am incredibly thankful. I feel incredibly blessed. I'm cheerful. I'm enthusiastic. I feel amazing amounts of love for myself and for everyone around me that I know. I feel satisfied. I'm content. I'm filled with joy, and I am in awe. My friends, I'm not only willing to feel great and have my life go well all of the time, I am absolutely committed. I am committed to feeling great and having my life go well, even if I'm out of town for 42 days within a 3-month window of time. And I could share with you real quickly a couple of other things that happened while I was in recently. So, for example, I'm in Colorado. We get there. It takes me about a day and a half before I figure out a good window of time for me to start booking my trip to this Rich Litvin event in October that actually is coming up. I leave tomorrow. And so I'm sitting there, and as I told you, I had already been thinking about and contemplating going to this. There are 2 different Rich Litvin events. There's one that's coming up in October, one that's coming up next week, and one is in December. I told you one is in San Diego, one is in Los Angeles. So I'm sitting there at Local Host Arena, which is an esports LAN cafe, which was an incredibly awesome experience. I'm so excited about that. So I'm sitting there connected to their amazing Wi-Fi, thankful for that. And I'm ready to book I'm sitting there. I'm going to book my airfare. Then I'm going to book my hotel and all of my transportation. I'm going to book all of this stuff now that I'm settled in Colorado. So the first thing that I do is okay, I know I went to confirm the dates of the October event. And then I immediately go to Delta Airlines and America Airlines. I have tons of travel miles with both of those. And I'm like, listen, I'm going to be able to get, I'm going to be able to get a sweet deal on this. And then I realized, well, okay, Delta's the better place, the airline to fly, because I can do a direct flight to Los Angeles. And so for whatever reason, or for that reason, I did that. And then I'm like, oh man, I don't have enough points on my Delta Airlines anymore because I just used, I paid for my travel to Colorado for Matthew and myself in first class, both ways, using airline miles. That's how many miles that I had. And so, but I didn't have enough for this trip. So I'm like, okay, not a big deal. And so I'm like, okay, here's the dates, but I want to make sure that I get nonstop if it's available. So I did find a nonstop flight to Los Angeles. I wanted to fly first class, and thankfully I'm in a place financially where I can afford to fly first class. And so, yes, I'm definitely willing to do this. I know how much stress it takes off by flying first class, first on the airplane, never have to worry about overhead bins, get first one on the plane, first one off the plane. It just makes life so much more enjoyable and takes so much stress out of travel. I'm going to fly first class. So I'm like, I found this ticket, found the times and all this stuff. I'm researching all of the different options for me. And then I book it. It's $1,666. I think it's $1,066 or something like that. And I booked this flight, and the next thing I know, it says at the bottom, it's like, listen, for $400 more, this can be refundable. And I'm like, I'm going to California for this trip no matter what. So let's book it. Let's go. And then now I've got my round trip airfare to Los Angeles. So now it's time to go look up what hotel this October Rich Litvin event is. And I look, and it's called The Guild, and it's right downtown San Diego. And I'm like, what? What do you think I'm focused on right now? What am I focused on? I'm focused on the fact that I just booked non-refundable first class round trip airfare to Los Angeles, California, and the event that I'm going to is in San Diego. But I am willing to feel great and have my life go well all of the time. I'm not just willing, but I'm committed to. And so what did I have? My focus was on the fact that I just did a bonehead mistake. And so you know what I did? I said, not a big deal. I'm going to go outside and make a call because it was too loud inside the local host arena. So I go out and I dialed the customer service number, and I get this guy on the phone, and can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. It's in my notes, but he says, how you doing today, Cliff? And I said, I have never been better. It gets better every single day. In spite of the fact that I just did a silly, boneheaded mistake. You see, my wife, if you ever listen to our old podcast that we do together called Family from the Heart, she says, how are you doing? And I said, I've never been better. It gets better every. She goes, come on, you know that's not true. And I'm like, yeah, there's times when I'm tempted to not, but it really is. I'm committed to this. My life, I'm committed to that. And so he says, how you doing today, Cliff? And I said, I've never been better, and it gets better every single day. And here's a mistake I just made. I just booked non-refundable tickets to Los Angeles, and I realized that the event that I was thinking of is in December, and the one that I'm booking a trip for is in San Diego. He says, not a problem, Cliff. I will do one of two things for you. One, I can book you. I can cancel your flight to LA and help you right now book a flight to San Diego. And if there's any change in the premium, I'll just charge you the difference or refund you the difference. Or if you'd like, I can go ahead and refund the whole thing right now, and you can rebook on your own. I said, if you don't mind, I'd match rather. He says the only thing is it'll take 7 days for that refund to show on your card. That's the only downside of the refund. I said, you know what? I really appreciate this. I can handle the 7 days. It's not a big deal. Just go ahead and refund me the entire flight. And what I'm going to do is I'll go and book it because it takes me a time to find all the right flights for me and my travel times and stuff like that. And I don't want to take the next hour with you on the phone. I could do this for 15 minutes. So he's like, no problem at all. So here I am, It's like, what does this mean? It means that I made a boneheaded mistake, but there's a customer support line, and chances are that this will be resolved with a quick phone call. That's one meaning I chose to associate to the fact that I booked non-refundable first-class airfare tickets to Los Angeles. All right, another thing that I associate. Worst case scenario, they say it's non-refundable. Well, guess what? I already booked the flight to LA the day before the event. I happen to know for a fact that I could take a train from LA down to San Diego, or I could rent a car. Not a big deal. This is why I was able to still feel great in the moment and still have my life going well for me. What a great blessing. I'll be able to see the scenery on the train ride from LA to San Diego. I'll be able to drive along the coast or something like that. Who knows? I mean, there's so many blessings who knows who I might meet in Los Angeles, at the airport, people I could connect with and maybe have lunch with anywhere between LA. And there's all kinds of great meanings to associate with that mistake. Not a big flipping deal. All right. But the thing is it worked out. So because I had chose to associate the meanings that I did, I felt great and my life went well. And now I have round trip first class tickets to San Diego. All right. One thing I didn't think of in all of my confusion is that I booked my airfare this time because of the time leaving was not as apropos to get to San Diego in time. I do have to do a layover to get to San Diego. There were no direct flights from Cincinnati to San Diego on Delta or American. I didn't check other airlines, but for whatever reason, I chose to look at these two. And as a result of the time and everything, I chose to fly out Wednesday morning. It just seemed to be the most logical thing. And then all of a sudden, I booked that non-refundable first-class ticket. And then I realized only 3 days later, it's like, oh man, I've been out of my routine. Tomorrow is the Next Level Mastermind. And I just realized that in 2 weeks, I'm going to be in a plane during the AM group of the Next Level Mastermind. Now, I could associate all sorts of terrible meanings like, oh my gosh, I'm already going to miss the PM group, and I've already worked that out because of this event that starts on Thursday night. And all this other stuff is like, no, I'm committed to feeling great and having my life go well all the time. What does this make possible? Let me look at this. And so I said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about this. I'm going to go to my mastermind group and I'm going to use the mastermind principle in effect. And I'm going to share with them that, I'm going to this event. I'm going to share with them what benefits I think me being at this event is going to be as far as payoff of bringing valuable content related to most of our pursuits of coaching and taking that professional coaching to a whole new level of success. And the fact that this group is amazing as far as the people who are in it. And it's like, here's the thing. I showed up to the group and I said, guys, okay, I booked airfare tickets for 2 weeks from now and I'm going to be out. Would somebody in the group be willing to, number one, facilitate it? And then immediately my friend Rick Lindberg from Stockholm says, Cliff, I'll facilitate the meeting. And then I looked over to a brand new member. This is going to be his very first hot seat. And I said, listen, you're going to be in the hot seat. It's going to be your very first hot seat. And I'm not going to be here. Is that a problem? He goes, Cliff, don't worry about it. Dude, this is my second meeting in the group. I'm already super thrilled to be in this community of peers, and I'm just super excited about the feedback that I'll get. And I know that I had already said I'll listen to the recording and I'll personally respond. And he says, dude, I know I'm in great hands here with this community that you've built. Dude, go and fly, have a great time, and just be sure to bring back and tell us all the amazing things that you learned from this experience. And see, there was no big deal. I was able to feel great from the time I realized. It was 3 days between the time that it had occurred to me. It's like, oh, I booked that flight during my AM group of the Next Level Mastermind group. And it's 3 days between when that occurred to me and then when I actually told my group. And during those 3 days, I had peace. I had no worries. I had no doubts. I had no lack of self-confidence. I had no lack of self-worthiness, all that stuff. Instead, because I'm like, listen, I've got an amazing group.
They'll understand the value of this. We'll work out something. I could even change it to the day before. We've got all kinds of options. So there's no reason for me to feel any negative emotions. I have associated amazing meanings to what this makes possible and what options are available. And as a result of that, for 3 days, I was able to feel great and have my life go well, spending that time with my son. And when I got on the call, it went great. What if I actually opened it up and I told them what had happened and I painted all the negative meanings that I associated? Do you think that they may have picked up on those negative meanings and played along with my story that I would have been telling myself? Yeah, it happens all the time, and that's why our lives go so terrible all the time. Well, not all the time, but many of the times, because people are buying into the crappy meanings that we tell ourselves. See, these are all stories that we're telling ourselves. And if you buy into those stories for too long, you won't be feeling great and your life won't be going well all of the time. And you know what? I could go on, but I'm already well over an hour now. And I just want to say, guys, I am willing for my life. I'm willing to feel great and have my life go well all of the time. And I'm not just willing for it to happen if it just naturally comes my way. What I'm telling you is I have come to the point where I am committed to feeling great and having my life go well all of the time. And I'm able to live up to that. So far, I've been able to live up to that commitment by being very intentional about the 3 vital decisions I make every single moment of every day. What am I focused on? What meanings will I associate to what it is that I'm focused on? And what actions am I going to take based upon how I'm feeling and thinking in the moment? My friends, I'm going to ask you this question. Are you willing to feel great and have your life go well all of the time? Ask yourself that question first. Wrestle with that one for as long as you need to wrestle for it. And then once I believe in you. I believe that you will eventually be able to say that statement without any resistance whatsoever. That you are willing to feel great and have your life go well all of the time. And if you get there or you're already there, I want to ask you this question. I want to encourage you to wrestle with this one until you can do it with confidence. Are you willing to commit yourself to feeling great and having your life go well all of the time? Until the next time we meet in this podcast, I encourage you to take everything you do to the next level.
Mindset Answer Man.